Hello and welcome. My name's Campbell. This is Spiral Up. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And I'm back with another chat, another interview. And we've got Tony with us today. And you're in Mexico, aren't you? And we're going to have a chat about the new age and what's going on, with all this sort of, yeah, right, the new age self-help kind of stuff. It's sort of everywhere at the moment. And, the main thing I sort of think of when I look at this is, I sort of got into, self-help and got the books and that back in the 90s. But I don't see all these millionaires popping up and all these people with these amazing lives, right? I mean, I see lots of money being turned over, so lots of people are buying the products, but no one seems to be getting any results, right? So, yeah, thanks for being here, Tony. Welcome.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, Campbell. It's great to connect with you, and thanks for your audience for listening in today. And yeah, I'm down in Mexico. I left the UK around 6 years ago to try and find some kind of freedom somewhere, and I found myself in these parts. And yeah, I mean the agenda's still rolling out here, but the difference between here and the Western countries is there's more ways around things. There's more loopholes. If you've got the money, you can find your way around most problems, most government interactions. So yeah, it does make it a little bit easier here, but for sure the same things are running out. And you mentioned there about the wonderful new age movement. You asked what was going on. I would say not a lot with that. It really is the epitome of a road that leads nowhere. And it's quite ironic that I've ended up here because I'm an hour away from Tulum. And I don't know if you know much about Tulum, but it's like the new age capital.
Mecca,
it's like the new age capital of Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Mecca, and there's a pilgrimage of people that come down from the States. All these, these hippie types, these yogis, and they're all like taking yoga classes in the morning and snorting cocaine in the evening. It's it's complete hypocrisy. And of course, like you say, they're charging through the nose, and they can't even keep their own back garden tidy, most of them. So,
Yeah.
but in go on.
No, I was just going to say, it's interesting that, the people we get, teaching right now, the ones writing the books and, the self-proclaimed gurus and all that, they've not done anything, right? The only thing they've done is write a book that people buy, and that makes them successful. Where this all started, like back in the, sort of 50s, maybe late 40s, Jim Rohn, those kind of people, who went out and they made a successful life, right? They made their $1 million, and then people said, "How did you do that?" And they started telling them, and so they actually had something to say, right? Because they've done it. Now we get these people who haven't done anything, and they're sitting there trying to teach. It's bizarre.
I could tell you so many stories down the years of the things that I've seen, the things that I've heard from clients. And I mean, there was one lady I used to know, and she was a channeler and a yogi, and she was taking cocaine. I found out at some point that she was taking cocaine, and I was like, "Should you be doing that if you're channeling?" She had like a big following, and she goes to me, "Well, actually, the cocoa plant is helping me download information." Oh no, no lie, no lie. This is what she told me.
Wow.
And I've got so many other stories of shaman that quote unquote shaman showing up and getting drunk and using their position of power to
Well, yeah,
leech on women and
we've
just
all heard that. Yeah.
yeah, that's really prominent. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to live in Koh Samui, and Koh Samui is next to Koh Phangan, which is obviously the other new age capital of the world over in Thailand. And I could never live on Koh Phangan because it was just full of new agers. But I obviously I heard a lot of stuff coming, like what was going on that island, and there was a big yoga school there called, what was it called? I forget now. I forget the name, but it was massive, one of the biggest yoga centers in the world. But it turns out the guy that owned it was like drugging up women and just abusing them sexually, and just it was just a complete mess. But we see that a lot. Like I did an expose on Muji. It came out recently that Muji was doing stuff like that, and yeah, Muji's pretty huge. And then you've got like people like John of God, who was actually doing some he was actually doing some healing work and curing people of stuff. But then, as I explain in a lot of my expose videos, there's always, you know, they have to give you a bit of sugar, but there's always either the crash or they're always doing something nefarious. And he was child trafficking. So it's like, but you know, people are gravitating to these modalities for a few reasons. And you mentioned there that it's been set up for a few decades now. Well, one thing that I find that seems to be a common theme is that the New Age movement really is like honey to bees for people that have a lot of trauma. And there's a lot of desperate people out there that are not in a good place, and they're looking for something.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people are not, they may be sort of kind of awake to mainstream help in the fact that it's not really help at all either. So they gravitate into this love and light, this New Age movement, because what does it do? It makes you feel good. It makes you feel good inside. You know, who doesn't want to believe that angels are going to come down and save you, or your spirit guides are going to help you, or you know, the Galactic Federation of Light are waiting in the wings to just come down, swoop down from their ships and just save everyone. So it really does appeal to people with a lot of trauma that probably haven't felt good at all in their lives. Maybe they've been abused or what have you, and so you've got this whole scene that really taps into people's imagination, and not saying that it's all imagination, but these a lot of these beings are masquerading. They're not who we think they are.
Yeah,
we can get into that in a bit. The false white light beings. But the bottom line is that it's tapping into people's absolute desperation to feel good because they've felt so bad for so long. Which is kind of cruel, really. But that's the hook. That's what gets that's what gets people hooked into it. And so people are going there and they're spending thousands of dollars in some cases. I mean, you wouldn't believe some of the amounts people have quoted me down the years, you know, hundreds of thousands, some people over.
I mean, I've seen what they charge just in these, you know, the get rich, right? That which are kind of, you know, the half sort of self-helpy stuff. And some of them, you know, they're like, $100, $3 grand, 10 grand, 25 grand. It's like, wow, that went up quick. But yeah, but this is.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
People, they don't have tools, do they? These people that have got that are, you know, have emotional issues that are a bit broken. And so they're looking for tools, right? They're wanting help. They're wanting to know things, and so, you know, when you look at it that way, it sort of makes this whole industry look a bit more nefarious, right? Because they're clearly hanging out that cherry, right? Like they're going, yeah, we've got answers, and then on top of that, you don't have to do anything, right? Just sit there and let me do something in the white light and the angels and the spaceships and the you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, I expect to pay for a service myself. I'm not, you know, people have to make money. We live in a world where, you know, money is the agreed form of exchange. And there's nothing wrong with paying a fee for something that is effective and that works. But as you say, a lot of this, it doesn't work. Really, I would say nearly all of it is promotion of spiritual bypassing, in the fact that you don't really have to do any kind of deep inner shadow work that can sometimes last for months or years, all you need to do is sit down and say 100 self-affirmations that you feel worthy, and you're going to feel great. And don't get me wrong, there's a place for like positive thinking, but there's this whole toxic positivity tied into the new age, where you're not allowed to look at anything negative, because you might, quote unquote, draw more of it in, which is a absolute disgusting falsehood, because what you resist persists. You know, I always liken it to, if you break your leg, you're not just going to leave it dangling, are you? You're going to go and get it sorted out. You're going to get crutches. You're going to put plaster on it, and it's going to heal, and it's going to get better. Well, that's just, the same thing applies to all things in life. And we've seen with what's going on in the world right now, how we've ignored tyranny for so long. It's just flourished. It's got bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're at the stage where we're almost like a complete takeover and total enslavement. And a big reason for that is that people have seen the world going to pot for a long time, and have done nothing about it, and chosen to live in ignorance, chosen to just focus on the self and what's in it for me, and not have the foresight to look at what's coming for future generations to intervene. And so what's happened is evil's just prospered, and it's just left as usual down to the tiny few, which, if we had at least 1 billion people of they tell us 7 billion on the planet doing something, this would be over in a night. We would wake up, it would all end. But it's because we've ignored the negative, that it's grown and it's got bigger. And the same thing applies in the New Age movement. People are being told, don't focus on the negative, just think happy vibes, keep your vibration high. You know, that whole rhetoric of, you know, you must keep your vibration high, otherwise you won't ascend to the new earth, which is complete BS. You know, you won't ascend to 5D. If you think a bad thought, then you're going to be stuck here, even though these people are already stuck here. As far as I'm aware, these people that think they're in 5D, they still need passports to travel. They still need to pay taxes. They still need to, you know, they're still at the mercy of our rights and freedoms being taken away. But they're telling everyone they're in 5D la la land, you know, drinking.
An illusion, man. I saw someone, I don't know where it was, but I just saw this clip, and this guy came out, and he's like, yes, I can see you're already in the new earth. And it was like Oprah, and you're in the new earth. It's like, you know, and you're in the new earth. We're all in the new earth. Yeah. And it's like, and I'm sitting there going, what does that mean? What do you, what? What are you talking about, man? I can still see.
I mean, it's just a way. It's just a way of people that know that there's something wrong in the world, that think that they're doing something to help by sitting there shrouded in fake love and life, having their love and light, having gong baths, meditating, and then thinking that they're somehow helping. Or what they say is they're anchoring the light. they're light seeds, star seeds anchoring the light, and then somehow they're gonna just by sitting there singing Om, they're gonna somehow transcend this matrix and end up in the new earth.
Have to be on a cushion with a full hat, you know. Yeah, I mean, this
is exactly.
And I mean, and this is, and isn't it? It's just like everything. It's being flipped. When this started, it was all about what you do, right? You listen to the old sort of guys who were talking about, you know, success and all this. It's all about what you do, right? Write it down, then get off your butt and do it. Now it's all about, no, it's okay. You know, this person's coming to save you. That person's coming to save you. You don't have to do anything. And I mean, I think we saw this heaps, right, in, you know, 2020, was it? With a lot of the, you know, the first sort of wave of MAGA type people who came out in the whole, you know, what was the money called? You know, everyone was going to become a millionaire. And
Nasara
Jassara, yeah, and all that kind of stuff. And everyone's like, and that was literally telling you, Oh, you don't have to do anything, guys. You know, the white hats are fixing up here. Got your money coming over here. So just sit down and
Yeah,
enjoy the show,
the White
you know?
Hat. Yeah, right. Trust the plan.
Trust the plan. That's the one. Trust the plan.
Yeah,
I'm
but you
still
know what?
trusting it.
You know what? There's still people hanging on to that. There's still people even now. There's a guy on my Facebook. He's been QAnon for since the start, and all these dates have been and gone, and he's still there posting wugga 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 wugga. And
Mm,
I'm like, dude, when are you going to give it up? It's like seriously. But yeah, that you hit on a good point there, because human beings have this inherent need, and it's really starting to annoy me big time. And I'll tell you why in a minute. It's always annoyed me, but even more so now. We have this inherent need for someone or something to come and save us. We don't want to do that work ourselves, like you say. And like you say, a few years ago it was Trump. Um, and what I'm finding now is I'm in a Facebook group called Suddenly Died. You might have heard of it. It got taken down at 300,000 people.
wow.
It's now growing again. It's at about 160,000. And basically, it's full of people in there posting accounts of people that have died. We won't go into and say the word, but the you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what. Um, and it's horrifying, you know, all these young people dying, and just like, yeah, just story after story after story. But what annoys me is that people, their solution is prayers. Every post is, can you pray? Sending prayers, which is kind of like an insult to these people at this point, because we know by now that prayers don't work, right? We've been
Mm,
praying for millennia.
yeah,
If prayers actually worked, then we would have had world peace a long time ago.
yeah, man.
And it's just, I just find it really lazy, and like I say, an insult to people that what they would really want their loved ones and family and nurses and doctors that are seeing this to expose what's going on, to speak up, and to, you know, take real life action, as you say.
Mm,
But we don't. We want to pray. We want to rely on Trump. We want to think that the Galactic Federation are coming, or some guru's going to help us, or we don't want to pick up the baton ourselves, both in our personal life and collectively. We want to sit there, moan, play the victims, not do anything in terms of real life action, and then wonder why things still continue to get worse. And I see this just everywhere. It's just like, it's a victim mentality is a real problem. And I even have it personally. People will say, "Oh, you're so lucky you live in Mexico," and you know, I'm like, it's not luck, dude. It's like I was in a corporate job. I didn't have any idea what I was going to do. I quit my job. I had no income. I retrained in a load of stuff that I knew that was interesting to me, and I bought a flight ticket, and with a lot of uncertainty, I just went for it anyway, and I created something different. It wasn't luck.
mm,
um, and it's that kind of thing all the time. That's just one example, but people they want to sit back, and even in the alternative media, I find that a lot of people want to sit back. They'll take in a lot of information. They'll watch documentary after documentary, or information after information after information, and then it's like, all right, what have you done with that information? And it's like crickets. And I see that a lot with
mm,
the work that I do, in terms of, you know, people doing their true inner work and stuff like that.
yeah.
You know, they're drawing in the same negative experiences over and over again in their life, not and it's like, okay, so how much inner work have you done? And it's like, oh well, I did some affirmations, or not. That's not inner work. So I
Ah,
don't know. It seems to me that many people just want to, you know, sit there twiddling their thumbs, and it all ties into the you know, in the terms of the new age, the law of attraction, you know, because in the
The
law of
Secret,
attraction, the
man.
mainstream version,
Yeah, I know The
the
Secret.
secret,
How
they
was that
tell
when that book
people,
came out?
yeah,
Like, who was the
I
original
know.
guy? Like, it's
Oh, I
it's
I
it's almost
forget.
word for word off that guy, you know, and he's talking about sitting up on the big machine driving down the road. I can't remember who it is, but yeah. And when I first saw the
Yeah,
secret,
yeah.
I'm thinking, you just completely just copied that off someone else and called it the secret. But anyway, so
Right, right. No,
give
no,
out
it's
the good
fine.
stuff.
But the mainstream secret is it also ties people still into materialism because they've tied
Yeah.
it into getting a new Ferrari and all that
Well,
stuff.
this is,
But
yeah,
the thing that it leaves out is the thing that it leaves out is the action part because the word action is actually in the word attraction. But in those books, in those teachings, they tell people to just think and feel, and it will appear, and it doesn't because you've got to put the action in because we're in 3D physical form, and nothing manifests here really until you put that action in. It's got to start in the mind.
yeah,
So
definitely.
at some point in time people were sitting around in caves and someone thought, do you know what, this is uncomfortable, wouldn't it be great if we could sit on something? So the thought was there to build a chair, and then someone had to actually build it, and there it was. It manifested itself.
Hmm.
It didn't just appear
Manifest, yeah, yeah,
overnight
exactly,
because
right, yeah.
someone thought about.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we've got a lot
So
of
yeah, there's a lot.
problems with words, right? The wrong meanings. Because
Yeah.
people think it's all just going to appear out of the ether, but yeah, no, like you said, manifesting is actually, it's like manifesto, which means something you create, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's a lot of inaction, like not really a lot of fluff, not really getting anywhere. And the thing I always say to people is who do these teachings really benefit? Because if you take the common one, never judge, this is a big one. They'll tell you anyone in the new age, and I get it all the
Oh,
time
don't
on my
judge.
videos because all my videos are, yeah, don't judge. It really, really irritates me. But that is so prominent in the new age because they will be taught that if they disagree with the quote unquote guru or teacher, that they're stuck in their mind and they're in judgment.
That's right.
And that it's wrong. It's wrong to judge. The demonization of the mind in the new age is really, really bad. We need the mind. We need the mind to help us discern truth from lies. But of course, they don't want us doing that.
Totally.
So this whole idea that we shouldn't judge is a massive deception because
Yeah,
when you think about who does that benefit, well, that benefits the
benefits the
force that wants to
gurus.
control and dominate.
That's a good
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
that the government, that's who that benefits.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
and this is another point, just quickly, is a lot of these really big gurus, they've got a boss, right? That they don't just
yeah,
they're being told to do that, and so it's just another arm of the programming, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, well, the New Age was set up as a new religion because they
Yeah,
knew that religion was starting to die.
yeah.
Um, Although I have to say, the last few months, I don't think it has, with all the people praying that I've seen. But they knew that they had to create something else, and so they came up with the New Age. And I have to say, it's genius what they've done. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like what they've done, but I respect how they've done it. The way that they have, what they've done is they've layered this matrix in a way that people are having their quote unquote awakening, and then they're realizing that there's something more than just human, which is great. That's the truth. They have to give the nugget of truth to get you hooked into all the bullshit, right? So people are like, great, I'm more than just human. I'm actually infinite. I'm like energy. Energy doesn't die.
Yeah.
But then it's shrouded with all this BS and all these false teachings.
Yeah.
So you wake up and you're like, you fall into the new age, and then you're in all these different cul-de-sacs. You're in another maze, right? You're thinking that your spirit guides are leading you here, and then Archangel Michael's leading you over here, and then if you just balance your chakras, then you're going to be fine, and then you're going to ascend to 5D and the new earth if you just keep your vibration high and you don't think negative thoughts. and you think you're awake, but you're not. You've just fallen in from one layer into another layer of the matrix.
Yeah.
And I've been coining it for quite a few months now, that we need to have an awakening from the awakening, an awakening from the false awakening.
Damn.
So there needs to be an awakening from all those, and there's probably millions of them that have fallen into new age falsehoods and trappings.
Oh.
And are stuck in these cul-de-sacs.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the first place that you
Yeah.
would go, right? When you're asking questions, all these people out there seemingly with all these amazing answers, and they're interesting, and they're talking about, yeah, you're infinite, you're light, and all this kind of amazing stuff, and they make it easy, so it's a trap, right? And just as a side note, we're not saying that everything they say is crap. We're not saying there's, that we're not energy, or that we don't have a powerful mind. What we're saying is these people are teaching the wrong way. They're giving you a little bit of truth, and just the rest is crap. And when you think about it, this is what had to have happened, because, as we said, the people teaching now, they're not the ones with experience. So they've had to get someone else's information and change it enough so that they can call it theirs. Then the next person does the same thing.
Yeah.
And at the end, you've just got this watered down thing that's nothing.
Yeah. And it's an easy sell, because if you go back to my point about people wanting to feel good, and a lot of traumatized people gravitating to that movement, if you've got even a tiny bit of charisma, and you start talking about, just do this light language course, and we work with Archangel Michael, you're good to go, basically.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a good point. They've got to be good looking, and they've got to have the look right, so that people look at them, and the perception is, oh, they're using all this stuff they're teaching me, and that's why they're, good looking and fit and successful. But no, it's because you bought their ticket to their, whatever, $5,000 to go to their seminar.
Yeah, they've got to have the new age look, haven't they? They've got to have like the white robe
and the voice,
and
you have to talk a little bit slower when
the crystal around the neck, and you have to be very patronising to your audience, because they don't know anything. They're just stupid. Yeah, but if you go deeper with false white light energy and false white light entities, which is a lot of my work is exposing this, but it also goes into the metaphysical manipulations in terms of entity attachments and things like that. These false white light beings are when people are praying to angels, or connecting with the ascended masters or Galactic Federation, these are all basically entities, and they're masquerading. And this is really important for people to realize, that when you give your energy up to, let's say, Archangel Michael, that's like a contractual thing, whereby that entity that is masquerading as Archangel Michael can hook into your energy, and start draining you, siphoning off your energy. And I've seen it so many times down the years with clients, where they've connected in with all these beings, they're feeling drained, they've got no energy at all, they're waking up absolutely shattered, because they've got all these false white light beings that they've hooked into and connected to, that are just there using them as batteries. So the manipulation goes into the metaphysical, as well as just the physical, the physical deception. And these entities are so conniving in the way that they appear to people, and this really triggers a lot of people, even in terms of like people thinking that they're connecting with a deceased loved person. They will masquerade as a dead person. And I have countless stories of, there was one guy that always sticks in my mind. He thought he was connecting with his dead father. His dad died, and he spent a good couple of years, channeling what he thought it was dad, getting information who he thought he was dad. This entity was saying it was his dad, he lost everything. He financially crashed. He ended up in a car accident. He had a divorce. Like everything went wrong in his life. And he finally come to the realization that this wasn't his dad. And so it's really important that, as kind of sad as it is, that these entities will use any weakness against you. So if your thing's angels, they'll masquerade as an angel. If your thing's Jesus, they'll masquerade as Jesus. Your thing's Buddha, they'll masquerade as Buddha, and even down to the loved ones as well. So it's really dangerous as well at the same time. And just to elaborate on false white light energy, it is actually a false energy grid that they're using, which is false light. So, and the way it works is, and you may have experienced it before because we've all been blinded by the light at some point. If you were to have like a session, let's say Reiki's false white light. So when you tap into Reiki, you're tapping into the false white light grid. So you may feel, and a lot of people report, that they might feel good for a day or a couple of days, and then there's the inevitable crash, or they just don't feel right, something's off. And that again is because that false white light grid, that energy grid, it has to give you that sugar. You need that initial buzz. A little bit, I liken it to a little bit like taking ecstasy. When you've taken ecstasy, I don't do it anymore, but back in the day, when there's that real big high and then there's the massive crash afterwards, that's similar to what false white light energy is. And that's what a lot of people are working with. And that's why a lot of people are having these healing sessions and they're not feeling any better, or they're feeling worse and they're feeling drained, and they end up spending thousands of dollars getting nowhere forward because the healer is working with false white light energy, or the person themselves are hooked into false white light energy. And I can see it in people as well. A lot of these reviews that I do on my YouTube channel, the New Age reviews, these teachers, I can now see it in the eyes, and it's very subtle, but it's almost like the lights are on, but no one's home. So there's like this glazed look over their eyes as they're speaking. You watch any of them, the main, like the big hitters, the big hit New Agers. There's always like this glaze where, like I say, the lights are on, but no one's home. That's because they're hooked into that false white light energy grid, and that's working through them. So
that's like a
it's still evil. It's
like
So it's still evil, but it just it flies under the radar because it's not overtly evil. Like if you look at someone like, I don't know, the Queen just died. When you look at her, she just looked evil, right? You could tell that was like a demon incarnate. But this false white light is a lot more subtler, and it's a lot more difficult to pin down. And this is why people need to, be more discerning. And I'm not saying that everyone's out there with bad intentions. A lot of healers have good intentions. It's just they don't understand the level of the stuff that they're working to. They don't understand it deep enough.
And we're seeing a massive
people really
increase. In the channeling, right? You must have noticed just especially the last year, but the last 2 years, everyone's channeling, right? Channel. Everyone's channeling as much as they can. And they're getting these big followings, and then they're doing things like readings, regressions, mass meditations and things, which is all looks and feels good, but you've got to be careful. It goes back to that saying, right? Who's God? We hear about this, worship God, but which God? What God are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've been following my work, then it's my belief that God, that we call God, is an entity, and he's siphoning off people's energy. When you look at the word prayer, what's prayer? It's pray. You're praying for something.
Exactly.
And yeah, I'm very strongly of the opinion that we have like a false god matrix here,
Yeah.
and this god. I mean, it's not even difficult to work out. What if you're the creator of everything? Why do you need people to worship you? I mean, that's narcissistic, right?
Yeah, and the fact that they argue, right? You are them. I mean, what's that? What I mean,
Right.
worship. You create
Yeah.
people so you can
I
worship
mean,
yourself.
what kind right. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to create all these humans to because I'm so insecure myself. I need worship from my own creation, right? It just doesn't even logically make sense.
No.
And it's just it's for children. It really is for children. When I see it's like we're so infantile in the fact that we have these belief systems. I find it frustrating that even now, and again, it ties into people needing a savior, right? Until people get over that hump and they do the inner work and they realize that actually they had the power all along, and actually that they are a powerful being, right? Until they have those deep realizations themselves, they're always going to be looking for someone else to come and save them. And of course, that's never going to happen. And we get let down over and over and over again. I mean, how many times do we have to go to the voting booths and get let down by some bloke in a dark suit that tells us what we want to hear and then goes back on his word? I mean, it's
yeah,
like,
but
how many
I
times have
spin
we got to
out.
repeat that one?
It's like, what did we get taught when we were, young? I'm probably a bit older than you, but when I was young, it was like, how do you know if a politician's lying? Their mouth's moving. The only politicians,
Yeah,
one that's no longer breathing. Things like this, and now that generation, like my parents, they're the ones yelling at everyone else. You have to go and vote, but you have to go and vote. And they're also the ones that used to tell me, don't sit too close to the idiot box, you'll get square eyes. Now they're running around saying, did you watch the smart TV today? They've tried to, it used to be the
right.
idiot box, now it's the smart TV, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
they've done a good job on
But
it.
again, in that group, in that died suddenly group, it's like if they're not asking for prayers or praying, then they're saying, well, if we vote for this person, they're against the mandate. They're all in on it. It's like, for God's sake. It's so frustrating.
There's only one enemy, and it's all of ours, right? We're not each other's enemy, which they're trying to desperately push, right? All this division, but I mean, and what gets me, the biggest thing about the whole political thing is it's rich white men with privilege, right? Telling all these minorities that rich white men with privilege are the problem. It's like, are you guys like, are you watching? Yeah, what's going on? What?
Yeah.
It's
It's like we had the Queen lecturing us all about austerity, sitting in a golden chair with a hat full of jewels and what God knows what else in them.
Yeah.
And it's like the peasants are just hanging off every word she says, like waving their flags. It's like the woman hasn't paid a penny in taxes her whole life. It's like, and then when she died, like even like in Mexico. Sorry,
I was just going to say, like, how many less street people were there when she died from when she started, right? She's the
I
longest serving
know.
queen in a long time. What, she has 70 years. How did England change? How did she make it better? Show me what she. It's just bizarre.
I know.
People are just. It's bizarre.
Yeah,
It's hard to explain.
but I had clients in the States saying, Tony, like people are upset about it here. She's like, they're upset about the Queen. I'm like, what? Even in Mexico, here, some people, because a few people know that I'm from the UK. They're like, oh, I'm sorry about your Queen. I'm like, I'm not. I'm happy, and they're like, what? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah,
Not
she's
heard of
evil.
Canada. Come on.
Look at her background.
Canada in the 60s,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, Canada. Oh my God.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, where does it end? Where does it end, eh? All the lies and the deceit, and it never. There's always something, right? When you think you've got it figured out, there's always something else. I was, I just did another podcast. I spoke about it briefly on there, but the other day I was just on YouTube and I started going down the flat Earth road. I've not really been down it. I never thought that the Earth was what NASA told us. I like if they say it's round, you know it's not round. That's
they've got lots of
but I've
pictures to prove it, man.
I never went down that rabbit hole deeply. So I started going to that, and then I found another video. Were dinosaurs real? Have you been down that one?
Yeah, I've been down every hole.
Oh my god! And I was down that. I was down that rabbit hole for 2 hours.
There's literally not one dinosaur bone on display anywhere.
No, no,
they don't exist.
It's like paper mache, chicken bones.
What I love, the best one is I've got somebody who's into it. And he always keeps saying, "Brontosauruses. How did they have sex? How did they produce? Come on, come on, guys." And he has like pictures of a brontosaurus and he's like, he just crush it. That's
exactly right. But they've done all these, like they said, that the way that the dinosaurs biologically are, they would just fall over. Like they're too heavy. It's like
T-Rex. But the thing is, they tell us. See, again, they got to give us some truth with everything. They tell us in the past everything was bigger, right? We've all heard the dragonfly 2 foot, wingspans and all this kind of thing. So we had giant alligators and lizards and all this kind of stuff, but they're just trying to make us think, no, there was millions and millions of years ago, and it was this amazing beings that, I don't know, walked around bouncing off the ground because they couldn't hold themselves up or something. But I mean, it's like you said before, this is all kids stuff, right? It's children's stories.
Yeah.
It's only believable if you don't. I mean, even just if you just sit and critically think about any of this stuff, you should have questions, enough questions to go, I'm going to look into that a little bit.
Yeah. But even like evolution, like how there was a fish and then there was a drought and then the fish just grew legs and then he turned into a reptile and then an amphibian and then a monkey.
How does because we came from monkeys, right? This is the story. So that means that one, to evolve, you have to change on the genetic level, right? Your genes have to change.
Yeah.
So for any of this to make any sense at all, it means we need a male and a female in the same vicinity that have both had the same mutation at the same time. Because if only one's had the chromosome, DNA change, they can't procreate. That's stupid. Yeah. It's just like, what the hell?
Apparently all these Neanderthals that they found, they've all been proven to be fake. They've had to admit that they were fake. So all these cavemen and it's kind of funny though. It's like you have to see the funny side.
Yeah. Well, Lucy, Lucy was put up for ages, right? And then they found out that it was just a chimpanzee. But then I saw this picture of where they actually found the bones, and they found like a fraction of a skull and I think 2 bits of rib. But they were found in something over like 5 miles, like a 5-mile square area. So they didn't find them together.
Right.
They were just random bits that they just sort of put together. And then they had another one, and that got it was shown for 50 years or something. It was in all the books, and then it got proven a fake. It was like half a pig skull or something glued to something else.
Yeah. Well, I was watching in this documentary that one of the most famous quote unquote dinosaur skeletons has actually got an iguana's head as the head.
That's iguanodon, no doubt, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So I mean, think of this then. If everything was bigger in the past, that might just be a big iguana, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, they tell us all this stuff, and it's like,
I don't know.
Have you looked into giants, the whole giant rabbit hole?
The
Giant,
giants? No, I've not really been down that one.
that's an
No.
interesting
Is
one
that
too.
bullshit or what?
No,
Yeah.
I got photo. I mean, it depends. No, I don't think that. Not at all. Definitely in the 1700s, we had like 9, 10 footers walking. We got the pictures of them. But then I think the further back you go,
Mm,
the bigger. There's
mm,
definitely a lot of evidence for it. But it's the same thing. It's like in the past, everything was bigger. Everything except humans.
mm,
Everything, the insects, the animals, the plant
mm.
life, but not humans. So I mean, I think if you just think of it
Yeah.
logically, and some people, it's also perception. Some people might think giants, and they I don't know, imagine these massive things that are walking around killing
Yeah.
everyone. But I mean, it's like everything was big, right? So of course, we wouldn't
Yeah.
have, we wouldn't be here,
Yeah.
little gnats. So yeah, I mean, I think everything has to be re-examined, right? I mean, well, we know, right? We've been schooled by the demiurge, man, and he's a bad teacher.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, they must be sitting there at their banquet tables and just absolutely belly laughing at some of the stuff they've got us to believe. I
That's,
mean, even over the last couple of years, they've managed to convince the population to not take in its life force energy by wearing a face nappy.
I don't even know what to say about that, but I mean, it's also a pretty good metaphor, isn't it, as for what's been going on? Because everyone who
Mm,
got the mask, I'll say it slowly and not connected to other words, they were the ones who already had a mask, right? And the ones who didn't put it on and who
yeah,
said, no, I'm not doing
yeah,
it, they were the ones who weren't, were a lot more real, right? They didn't have this persona they were putting out there. So it's quite interesting. And during that,
sure.
a lot of people have kind of
Yes.
realized, oh my God, I'm wearing a mask, I better take that off. So
Yeah,
it's quite interesting. Like we're literally seeing, physically what's actually happening mentally. So
yeah. Well, it's definitely an interesting place, that's for sure. I had I had this conversation with someone else the other day. I was like, whatever you say about this place, yeah, it's evil, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on.
hmm, there is, and this is it, right? Is it here to wake us up? Maybe we don't know, right? But I think everything's just the way you take it, and if you can find some good in it, find some good in it. I think, and go with that, right? But saying that, you've got to be
Yeah.
realistic. You can't be this everything's perfect because clearly it's not. I think we're coming to this realization. This is like I've said I call it like an overlay, which I guess is like the matrix sort
Mhm.
of the same thing. Like something's been laid over, right? That's
Yeah,
controlling us. That's what's happening, and it's starting to look. It's starting to really grow, which is an interesting thing. And I know we're getting like almost there for time, but you know, now I forgot what I was going to say, but over the last year, yeah, everyone thinks that there's this big sort of feeling, especially I guess among awake people. I don't like that word either. That things are getting better, and oh yeah, this is happening and this is
yeah,
happening, and right. But when you look around at what's literally going on,
yeah,
it's going very fast
yeah.
the other way,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah,
mm,
yeah, I think yeah. If you look at it on like, if you go outside your front door and you see how people are behaving and with the what's in the arms and everything like that, it's not looking good. I think we're already losing a lot of people, but I do think that a lot of when you take a step back and you look at things with a longer lens, it's people are all right. You've still got a percentage of sheeple that still watch the news, but a lot of people are not really watching mainstream anymore. Celebrity culture's dying.
yeah.
They tried to take the guns from the American people. I've got friends here, American. They're like, "There's no way they're going to take the guns off of us. We're buying more. Like we're buying more
Yeah,
bullets." Yeah, that's never going to happen. And so a lot of the things that we all thought we'd be having these jibby passports to get into the supermarkets. That hasn't happened for them. So you know, it's we have to take the wins, and I think it was never going to be easy taking away a century-old or however long it's been a death cult, and I do think we are making progress, even though it's not always so apparent. But we are at war, and we're going to lose people. But I do believe, and I do have faith in humanity in its more awakened state. Certainly not, you know, the people, a lot of the people here, but I know a lot of people in the alternative media, brilliant minds, you know, new inventions coming up. So there's a lot of darkness coming to the surface, but there's also a lot of light coming as well, real light. And I think that we should, we just need to keep going and, you know, start to realize our own power and give up these savior programs and stop playing the victim. I think once more of us do that, take control and take the baton, so to speak, I think we can get out of this and create something better. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think we can do it for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, in my mind, I believe we've already won, but doesn't mean that we get to sit on the couch. It means we've still got to go through the journey, right? Because, you know, everyone's talking about this new earth and 5D, but no one's talking about becoming the person that's worthy of living in a world like that, right? Which, you know, is the way I see it. We've got, you know, everyone's, you know, the split, right? Oh, the split, the two worlds and all that. You know, someone's getting, you know, half of us are going to ascend. And I mean, I think it's probably just going to be a lot more physical than that. I think that some people are going to choose the you know, the jibby jabby, and they're going to choose the smart cities. And a lot of us are not going to.
Yeah.
That'll be the division there, you know, and ultimately as always, it always comes back to choice, right? And just being aware of what's going on, and looking inside. You know, if you're constantly looking outside for the answers, you know, those people who want to lead you around are going to see you, and they're going to go, come this way. I've got answers for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here's some sugar. Here's some sugar. Come this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. No, definitely. Sure.
There we go. Awesome. All right. We're pretty much on an hour there. So, before you, do you want to give a shout out to your channel and everything? Where can people find more of your work?
Yeah, sure. My channel's just my name, which is Tony Sayers. I've also got a website, transcendingtimes.org. That's got other information, my books, other things that I do. I'm on Telegram as well, BitChute, Odyssey. But yeah, YouTube is probably my main, and my website, transcendingtimes.org.
Awesome. And so basically you work with a lot of people who have been damaged, right, going through this whole sort of self-help guru kind of path. So if you've got any questions like that or any issues, you know, reach out to Tony. And thanks. That was an awesome chat, but I might have to get you back because I saw another video. I'd like to have a chat about chakras, or the lack of them, maybe.
Oh right, yeah, we'll do a part 2. We'll talk about the chakra deception.
Definitely, that'd be awesome. All right, mate. Well, thanks heaps for joining us. Have a nice, morning, I guess.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some brekkie, I think you call it, don't you?
Brekkie, yeah, mate. Brekkie. Brekkie on the beach.
Brekkie, mate.
mate. Awesome. All right, well, nice to meet you as well. Thanks for being here, and I'll be in touch, and we'll get back and talk about the chakras.
Cool. All right, mate. You take care.
You too. Cheers, mate. See ya.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye.